Hello and welcome. And as you probably guessed, yeah, that wasn't anything by Mojang. That was Mojang Studios. That was me. Um, it seems like uh, my computer cannot handle rendering a video and recording a video. So I will I'll be right back. There we go. I just stopped that temporarily. Um, but as you probably guessed, it wasn't real. Um, so how is it created? Well, with armor stands, as you could see at the ending of the video. And like, in the center of all the attention around all these things is command blocks. So, of course, yes, it was made by command blocks. So I'm just gonna kind of go through on how it was kind of created. I didn't actually show the water being dropped from a height. Yeah, you can see it was just command blocks with stained glass. Before I was using, I wanted to use snow, because if you actually jump into F3, then you can kind of see that, what was it trying to, you could see at some points that it's like it just renders better, and plus it doesn't render all the armor stands, which in turn really hurts my computer, as you could see there. I was going through and placing all the things like, oh yeah, look at that, and then I realized whenever I started doing this, it's like, oh yeah, I forgot to kind of remove the water, so then you can kind of actually see that um, that it was using entities and not actually water. Um, so yeah, and the empty water bucket does not work that well when clearing it up as well, because it just clears the block, but that block has like barely any amount of water on it, and so then the rest of the water fills it in and things like that. But anyways, that's not what you're here for. You're here for seeing how it was created. So first, the remover is removing the... Is it removing? I kind of forgot how this works myself, because I made this a while ago. But it removes empty water buckets, I believe. No? Something. Why do I not remember? Anyways, I don't think that one's that important. I just showed it all anyways. This one, these two add new. Wait, why is there two? Oh, yeah. So, add new. This is renamed new. Or no, it's not renamed new. The entity that this spawns is renamed new. So whenever I place it, the new gets a score of 800, and then it removes the name new, so then it's not an infinite water source, unlike the one named infinite water source. So then right here it enables the marker. Yeah, it enables marker on or off based off of if there's a block underneath it. So say it's held up somewhere, like say if I do this, hold it up in here, and then I do this, then it falls, and then it disperses, things like that. So you just kind of, that's how that works. And then right here, this is where it combines the water. So if two water sources, so this is kind of the best example of it. The two water sources combining here, one goes in, the second one goes in. You can see that they stacked there. That's kind of using a different technique, but the main way to kind of see is actually with this one here, so you can kind of see that those little pieces go into the big piece, and I should actually show you the scoreboard of it working. I forgot how to commands for a second. See, I'm using the water level. You can just see that together all the water here combines into 2,400. Each water source is 800. But you can see I really tried to stay consistent on however many water buckets you put out is the amount that's displayed. Whoops. So you can see here that whenever it does this, that it kind of filters all into those two. This one has a bit, that one has the most. And those small ones there, it checks. So the first thing that it does, it sets the limit to just 0, and then it grabs the normal ones. So the normal ones would be like, for example, this, the smaller ones getting into the bigger one, and basically it combines the two to one score instead of just having multiple small layers. That kind of doesn't look right, and that's not how it normally works. So it combines those. It also grabs the falling into the anchor. That's kind of more what this does. So the anchor would be that one right there. That is anchored on top of that one. But it can also disperse water itself. I know it looks kind of odd with the positioning of the glass and things. But it working is right here, so it combines, but then you can see that falling one combined here. Instead of letting it drop all the way until it combines there, it waits until there, because I don't want it to combine unless it's stationary. Because whenever you see it dropping like that, all those small ones right there would have combined, and I didn't want that. I wanted it to only combine if the smaller one was combining into just a stationary one. So that's kind of how that works. And it combines them, and then combines the fall full. So yeah, so then this one is putting the falling one into the anchor, and then this one's putting the falling one into a full down there, and basically just adds the tag safe. And then what that means is that they both combine, and then the safe one doesn't get removed, the not safe one gets removed. So yeah. Next thing is the adding of the new ones, because obviously you have this one here, but then how does it spread to the other 4 around it? So that's kind of what this does. I think it checks for a score of over 100. Yes, and then if it's over 100, then it adds one next to it. And of course I had to add in the fence case there, just to kind of show it working there. And then right here, the transfer math, the distribute amount. So now it's transferring, so it has the 800 here, and then it has 0, 0, 0, 0, and it needs to transfer it. So for each one, for this one, 800, this command block isn't used. That was going to be for if it was falling, then it would distribute more than if it was just kind of placed like that. But the transfer math, it puts it into the math function, and then it gets the distribute amount, so it divides by 10. So say this one's 800, and then it distributes, or it gets 80, and then it distributes 80 to each one, and then it counts how many are around it, and then it subtracts by that amount. So 800, 80, 80, 80, 80, and then 80 times 4 is 320, so then 800 minus 320 equals this one. And it does that for each water source that there is. So then, yeah, it subtracts it, gets the number of armor stands around it. This one spawns in an anchor, so if the water level is above 800, then it basically 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So then you can see that that one actually has an anchor, and then it distributes in because 6 is the equal amount. But then if I put another one, you can see each one then gets an anchor on top of it. And those are about 130, which is distribute 800 all around. And it has those anchors there. Those anchors don't get applied by gravity, but they do if the one, or they lose the anchor tag if the one below it goes missing, or it gets below a certain amount, which you can see here. It distributes the anchor, so it distributes top to bottom. So if the bottom one's more than 800, then it distributes it up. If yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, well, so then it distributes above to 800, but then if the one below is less than 800, then it grabs from the one above. So you can see right here that it basically removes, so it basically subtracts 800 from it, and if, say it has 900, 900 minus 800 equals 100, so 100 goes to the top, and then it gets filled back to 800 on the bottom. But say it's at 700, 700 minus 800 is negative 100, then it fills the anchor with negative 100, so it basically grabs from the top one. But then of course if the anchor it reaches 0, then it removes the anchors and it won't have anything else to grab off of. Blocked means, oh, this is if a block is in the way. So say for example, I didn't really show this too much in depth. I kind of showed it over there once, but I didn't show it too much in depth. But you can see if I block it here, it basically moves up. I can basically make it fall again. Another way to kind of show this off would be the example that I did, the one example that I did. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 5. But then if I put a block here, it actually removes this one, and it basically forces whatever amount it has to those two. But then since these two reached above 800, it actually got an anchor and distributes some water there, which is realistic. Which is what I really liked about doing this, is kind of making it look and feel realistic, which I think I really did accomplish. Before, it all looked like snow, I think, and then I eventually made it look clear, because before I actually had just snow on the armor stands, but then whenever I tried to make it transparent, it wouldn't work because snow isn't a transparent block to begin with, so I had to convert it all into blue glass. So yeah, if it's blocked, then it adds the block tag. It checks if it's not an oak fence, because oak fences are an exception. And so then it grabs the amount of entities around it, just to kind of distribute it evenly, which I can kind of show this better if I put on the resource pack. So let me just quickly do that. I think you've seen enough of no resource pack to kind of see how it works. And you can see I just renamed armor stands to water buckets and made them look like water buckets. And then with the blue glass, I just made it look like water, as you can see here. So you can see that they're all 200. If I go ahead and block this off, you can see that it forced all the water into there, which then made it all 268, forced all the water into there, 400, 400, and then 800. And then it can redistribute itself back out like that, and you can see that it works pretty well. And it especially really came together whenever I made it look like water as well. So yeah, that's with the blocked. It divides, distributes it out. But then of course, if it can't distribute it out, like this one here, then it just teleports itself up and then distributes itself because it's normal. So then death comes if it's less than 1, I think. Yeah. Oh, it kills the blocked water if it has roommates around it, because you don't want water there when there shouldn't be. And then yeah, if it again can't distribute, then it teleports itself up, and it doesn't kill it. If there's no anchors, it just removes the anchor. So if there's nothing below it, so you can should be able to see with this one if I patched it up, which I did. So if I just go ahead and place water in here all the way up, and then remove the bottom one here. Now normally only this water source would go down because all the rest are anchors, but I check, and because none of the rest are anchors, they all just drop down. So yeah, that's how that one works. And then what else happens? Infinite. So then I added in the infinite water source. It was actually really hard to not make an infinite water source with just the water bucket, because sometimes scores would come out of nowhere, and then all of a sudden I'd have much more water than I expected to. I think there's still a slight problem with it getting less water than it originally had, which you could kind of actually see in the presentation. But let me see if I can get that working. For the yeah, you can see it actually got a little bit more, but there is some issues with it. No, it looks like a bit less actually. But anyways, yeah, it's still sometimes it doesn't work too well, but I try to iron that out as much as possible, and I made sure that I didn't have any infinite water sources. Also with checking if the ground is air or not. Maybe this one. Yeah, I check if it's a slime block. So because normally it would just disperse itself out on the slime block, but it doesn't because I told it to. Because if water's falling, I don't want to distribute. So whenever it has the no anchor tab, it doesn't tag, it doesn't distribute. So I just made sure to keep it to where it bounces, and it looks realistic. We can of course try the infinite water source here, but that kind of breaks it, as you can kind of see there. Then you can see these don't distribute themselves because I told it not to. You can see the same thing here, but you just kind of wanted to get that working. And then I think, yeah, that's it. I just basically keep on telling the infinite water source to have 800 and for it to not fall. So if I place the infinite water source here, oh, I probably shouldn't have done that, but if I place the infinite water source here, you can see it immediately fills it up, and then I can do this, and it distributes itself. You just kind of have to be careful with an infinite water source, because things can get out of control, and you don't want your computer slowing down too much. So yeah, you can kind of see it working there. I can actually go kind of in a frame by frame of kind of the basics of how it works. So let me get a water bucket here. You can see it automatically goes to 0 because it's a new score, things like that. And then also these two command blocks here, these need to be run at the end, but I didn't have the end yet. I should have put them on the end. But these basically divide and then get the model number for it to be on. For the different water levels. So you can see this one's actually at 0. I flick it, and I did that wrong. Let me redo that by making it an impulse. So now, if I do this, bam, now it's 800, and you can see it's already started the next thing, where it basically made all these, then it was like, oh, I have 4 around me, so then that means that I have 80, 80, 80, because 800 divided by 10, it then distributes that, and then 800 minus 320 is 480, so then it has that. So then it does the next check, and it basically just distributes it more, 320, 120, 120, 120, because remember, these are also distributing it back. But of course now these are over 100, so that means that they're going to have their own little water sources here. They have a little bit, but not too much, you can see, and then it just kind of eventually just distributes itself all out evenly. And that works pretty well. So you can see that's all kind of rounding out at like 62, I would say, 1664. And yeah, so there you go. And that's kind of how that works. I also, with a few command blocks, I made it to where you have slowness and slow falling. And if you're out of water, you clear those effects immediately. And if you have a water bucket anywhere in your inventory, then it replaces it with the armor stand. And yeah. So I think that's everything that I kind of wanted to show. I use these to kind of test out different things with getting them all working. The empty one basically just kills any entities in its range. So pretty simple. It does take a while. as I said in the video, but it works. If I were to make improvements on kind of like the rendering and things like that, because it does slow down and kind of making it look better, I would probably use snow blocks and have them actually blocks. So whenever I would place it down, it would actually be a block. And then it would then have an area effect cloud here that would act as the armor stand. And that reduces rendering, and it's an actual block. And the only problem would be is that the these would be it wouldn't be see-through. And I don't think you could really get around that too much, because if it were see-through, then you can see this. The only way, I guess you could, I don't know, it'd kind of be difficult. But yeah, I think that's all that I wanted to kind of show with this kind of project that I worked on, making realistic water. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I kind of explained how all this works. The remover is the empty water bucket, I believe. I think. Yes. I now know what the remover is. It it is the empty water bucket. I know it's at the front though. I guess it needs to be at the front. So yeah, you can see it doesn't work for fences, or not fences, but signs. So yeah, I think that's all that I wanted to say. Hopefully this kind of explained how it works, and was a fun and entertaining video. Not necessarily this video, but the other video. Because this was kind of a quick technical preview of how it works. I really enjoyed filling this up because it's like testing it out on small scales and scales that I made, and then actually testing it in like kind of a real world example was kind of cool. So yeah, I think that's pretty much all that I had to say, and goodbye.